Welcome to the Building One Story at a Time podcast.
We're your hosts. I'm Katie Herbine.
And I'm Stephanie LaChance. Today, we're joined by some guests from Ephrata National Bank. Hello, Craig Hummer and Amy Good.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Welcome. We're doing great. How are you?
Great. Glad to be here.
So we have a couple of questions. We're going to be focusing on the process through E.G. Stolzfus, building a new home, new construction. So what we call the end loan, meaning that you're not making payments throughout the process of the loan. You just have your kind of down payment at the end, and then you take possession of the home.
Yeah, EG makes it really simple with doing that type of financing for the new construction. So it's as simple as buying an existing home.
Perfect. Before we kind of get into those questions we have for you guys, why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about your roles at Ephrata National Bank and how you guys bring such great value to all of our EG homeowners.
Sure, I can start. So I'm Craig Hummer, and I've been with Ephrata now for about 9 years. Ephrata National Bank is a local community lender in Lancaster County, so a staple, I think, of the county. I think we've been in business for 150 years or something like that. So a little bit unique in that we're set up to be an independent bank. It's part of our mission statement to remain independent. We have a large shareholder that is part of a trust of the bank, which helps us maintain that independence as well. So from a lending side of it, we focus a lot on new construction. So it's a sort of the core of what we do is new construction focus. And we have a broad range of programs and products to help customers get into it. So I'll let Amy talk a little bit about herself.
Yeah. I'm Amy Good. I've been with Ephrata National for 11 years now. Been with the mortgage department for 6 years and worked all those years with Craig Hummer, learning from him.
We work together, so we sort of tag team everything. So,
Yeah, we were going to say.
Yeah, so most customers that talk to one will talk to both.
It's a team approach. That's exactly how Stephanie and I are, very team-centered. It was funny when you were saying how long Ephrata has been in business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously not that old, but Ephrata National Bank was my very first bank account that I ever opened. So I was like, yeah, it is a small community bank. Yeah, and still has that small feel.
Yeah, and it's nice, and it's hard in Lancaster County, or for anywhere for that matter. But those local small community banks are just unfortunately going away, being absorbed in the larger one. So it's nice still having that independence as well.
You actually have one branch that I drove by recently that stood out to me because it was maybe a 12 by 12 box with 2 drive-through lanes that were clearly for Amish buggies.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we have 13 locations now. We're opening our 14th up, another one in Lidditz as well. So yeah, we're really Lancaster County focused.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you guys start with providing us a little bit of an overview about the different types of home loans that are available to buyers? I know we're talking specifically about the end loan, but there are so many different types in that subset.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's probably our most fun thing to talk about. So, one of the things we like, because we're a local bank, we offer all of the sort of plain vanilla stuff. So the 30-year fixed conventional mortgage, the USDA or FHA or VA, all those like regular normal loan programs that you would see with really any lender. We do those, but I think what really helps set us apart is all the specialty things that we do. We have special programs that we'll offer to different customers. So we'll talk about that probably as we go through the process a little bit. But what we're really trying to do is find a program that makes the home buying process achievable for all buyers. So whether that's a first-time home buyer program that we may offer, a professional program at 100% financing that we can do for folks. We have some other 100% financing programs. So we're really trying to evaluate that customer and then use some of those specialty programs to see if something may be a better fit than just a regular 30-year fixed.
And what are some of those factors that individuals should consider when deciding which type of home loan is best for them?
Yeah. So usually with that, we try to have a call with the customer, get a feel of, what they're looking for, what their needs are, how we can help. And then as we walk through that process with them, we try to differentiate what would be the best fit, give them options, and just see, how we can help and how we can help them reach their financial goals.
Yeah, we really see that as our role through this as sort of a counselor, is that hopefully that expert to the customer to help them guide them through the process, but evaluate what their big picture goals are and then find the right program for them to move forward with it.
It sounds a little bit like our process where you guys have that.
I think that's why we match up well.
That introductory call of like getting to know them, understanding what they are looking for, what they need, and then finding and proposing some of the best options for them that suit them the best.
It's often not a one size fits all scenario. What's important to one person may be different to another person, what their goals are. Someone may be looking to pay it off in 15 years versus they're really concerned about that monthly payment on a month-to-month basis.
Absolutely. So kind of getting into a little bit about like, okay, so now I've identified Ephrata National Bank's the bank that I want to go with for my mortgage. What types of documents are typically required when applying for a home loan? And how can me as the applicant prepare those documents for you?
Yeah, so typically with that, after our call, we're going to have our customer do an online application. We'll ask for some basic income and asset information, and then we'll just dive deeper into their situation and see, okay, what can we do for them? How can we best help them?
Yes, from a documentation perspective and where we go with that. So as we guide them through the pre-approval, we have that initial conversation, which will help us determine what documents we'll need from them. So someone who's self-employed, as an example, we may need a little bit more involved documentation, like 2 years tax returns, versus someone who's just a straight salaried employee. We may just get W-2s and pay stubs for them as well. So normally up front, the pre-approval, we're really mostly focused on the income piece. Can we qualify you based on the payment? As an extension of that, then we're going to start looking at how much do you want to put down and where's the money coming from as well. So I think the lending process sometimes can be tedious. I mean, there's really just not a general way of saying it. Our job is to try to make that as less painful as possible to the customer to really get them onto the fun part. Get to the design studio and enjoy what you guys do here and really focus on what that house is going to look like in the end. But we're really trying to guide them initially and getting that financial plan in place so that they don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I'd say that stage, it really sounds like that's like, how much home can I afford?
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of that is matching up goals for well-qualified borrowers, folks that have good credit, strong income. We're often going to approve them for more than they want to spend. It's just usually the way the numbers work out with that as well. So that's why I think it's important as we're counseling them through that to say, okay, where's your budget in all of this? Where do you want to be with it? It's also an interesting time just with where we are with rates. I mean, that's sort of the elephant in the room right now. You know, mortgage rates are high, but you know, we talk to people all the time about the fact that the cost of a home isn't going to come down in the future. So the idea being that, yes, mortgage rates are high. This is probably the highest point you're going to have in your loan process. Rates will come down. You'll refinance. It's going to be a normal cycle again for that. And that home will probably be more affordable to you down the road. But what are you comfortable with today to get into that?
Absolutely. When do you guys advise reaching out to a lender? So like, let's say I've decided I need to move. My house is too small. Or even better, I'm renting now. I've never bought a house before. So when should I contact a lender?
I think in general, just earlier the better. The reality of it is the mortgage process is one of those necessary evils as part of the process of buying a home. And the sooner I think you have that peace of mind of knowing that, hey, I can afford what I want to do, you now have that financial plan in place that now you can come have fun. Go have fun and see what you can build for what you want that you're comfortable with. But by having that conversation early, it's helpful. Likewise, if there are some challenges, if you have a credit struggle or something that is a potential issue or a roadblock for you, that's our responsibility to help them get them over that hump. Maybe you can't buy a home today, but we can get you set up for 6 months from now that you're now able to purchase as well. So we're going to be that counselor, that advisor through that process and sort of help get them ready. And I think having the peace of mind and knowing that you're pre-approved just allows you to move forward with that process.
And understand too, like what type of home should I be looking at, especially for those first-time home buyers.
I think it's amazing that when we look at new construction, I can't tell you the number of people that we get, and I'm sure you are the same way, that you know we've been looking for a home, we can't find a home that we like, and we're looking towards new construction. And when they actually start looking at the cost of new construction, they realize that, hey, this is affordable. I can do this, and it just gives them another option for it.
Absolutely. With the lack of inventory, we are definitely feeling
Yes.
that right now.
Why not build?
Yeah, it kind of gets out that lack of inventory and the like bidding process on a resale home. You kind of take that out of the picture. You get to pick the lot that you like the best and then the home plan that you like the best. And then you get to come in here and do the fun part, which is all of the colors.
Yeah.
We think that's the best part, but we're a little biased. So what are closing costs and how much would or should individuals budget for them when they are purchasing a home?
Yeah, so closing costs, we typically estimate around 5% of the purchase price. That gives us kind of just an average for our customer to have an idea, what their price range is, what to expect then for closing costs. But it would really be the same as an existing home purchase. The costs for that are really not any more expensive than it would be if you were, building versus purchasing existing. But yeah, some of the costs that would typically go into a purchase transaction, there's always the title fees. Those are, pretty standard across the board. There would be an escrow account to cover for taxes and insurance so that our customers don't have to worry about, putting money aside for that. There would be the transfer tax, which is, a general state tax for Pennsylvania. And then we also offer a lender credit of $1,000 just to help our buyers out with purchasing that new home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the deposits that are made in new construction? So, you have your $10,000 on the lot, and then you have 25% of options added up front, 25% a little bit farther down the road for options that are added at the design studio. How does that money come together towards the end of that building process?
That's a great question because we get that all the time.
Yeah. So do we.
Where's that money come into play? So the bottom line is anything that's given as an earnest money deposit to the builder comes off the construction project in the end. So if you were planning on a home where you were planning to bring $25,000 to closing and you've given the builder $15,000 already, and you're only bringing the difference of $10,000 then to settlement. So it comes off what you're bringing. It's not in addition to, which I think is what some people fear sometimes. I have all this deposit I got to put out of pocket, and it's not going to help me in the end. And it does. It just comes off the bottom line with it. So great question.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about what is mortgage insurance and which type of loans would it apply to? Can I avoid mortgage insurance?
Yeah. So PMI or mortgage insurance that it's referred to as it's one of those things that if you put less than 20% down, you typically are going to have mortgage insurance or PMI. There are some exceptions to that. So we have some programs that you won't have to do PMI. So we have a professionals program that's good for physicians and engineers and other sorts that qualify for that program that allow up to 100% financing with no monthly mortgage insurance.
Oh, wow.
So we do that as a portfolio loan. So you'll hear that term sometimes. And really all it is, it's a loan that Ephrata National Bank holds itself. So we get to make our own rules for it. So that's one example of it. We have another program called the Wealth Builder Program. Again, 100% financing, no mortgage insurance. Now that one's actually on a 15-year term and anyone can qualify for that as long as you have 700 plus credit. I'd like to use an example for that loan in particular where I had two teachers recently graduated from college. So they're just starting full-time contracts with the school district and they didn't have any money saved for that. Naturally, college graduates, but great income and were able to move forward. They just didn't have the down payment money. So the loan program worked out great. They could do 100% financing. The advantage on that program too is it's a 15-year term. If you're okay with that payment, the nice thing is you're building equity so much more quickly with that because so much more of your monthly payments going towards the principal on it as well. So when you take away the fact that there's no mortgage insurance on it as well, it really helps make that payment a little bit more affordable. It's one of those programs that's not going to be for everyone, but it's sort of what's going through our mind as we're having that conversation with the customer. It goes back to, hey, what's important to the customer? What are their challenges or things that we need to try to overcome? And it allows us to have another tool sort of in the tool belt for them as well. So Those are probably the two biggest ones where we don't have mortgage insurance involved. Mortgage insurance, again, it's one of those things where it doesn't feel helpful to the customer. But if you're in a situation where you don't have the 20% down, it's sort of that necessary thing you need to do to get it. In a conventional program, as soon as you pay the balance down to 80%, the mortgage insurance goes away, which is
that's
good.
great. Yeah.
And it's also credit risk based. So the stronger your credit score, the lower your monthly insurance, the PMI rate will be for it as well.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if you have really strong credit and you're like, I just don't have the money to put down, I can put 10% down, I can't get to 20. It's not the end of the world with it. We can sort of paint that picture that, okay, here's what it looks like. Again, still a way to get into the house for you. And maybe there's another program that works, but it's still an option that we want to consider with people. PMI gets a bad rap. You don't want to pay it if you don't have to, but it's still good for being able to get you into the home.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Great explanation. Yeah. Well, a concept too that I've been hearing a lot more about recently in this current economic climate, is the discount points.
Yes.
Can you also explain how that works toward your loan? And then maybe like how, if you are shopping for lenders, maybe the best way to look at like different approval letters to make sure you're comparing apples to apples.
Yeah, that is always a challenge, the apples to apples comparison with that, because the rate by itself isn't necessarily the bottom line. The points or discount points that go into that can change depending on the rates as well. We typically take the approach that we're going to quote a 1-point rate when we're just upfront quoting to people. And the reason for that, we sort of see that as sort of the sweet spot right now. It's not a linear approach when you buy down points to a rate. So in general terms, you may think for every 1/4 point in rate reduction, there's a 1-point fee to purchase that, but it doesn't always work out that way. A lot of times we may see there might be a 0.5% discount in rate for the 1-point fee, but then 2 points doesn't buy you another 0.5%. It might only be 1/8 of a point. It's a scale that is unique depending upon where rates on any given day. The bottom line is that's what we'll help look at. We'll help make a recommendation with that. Not a fan of paying a lot of points right now. The reason is we don't think people are going to have their loan today very long. The reality of the market we're in, what I was talking about earlier, is you're going to get into the home loan now. No matter what program you're in right now, you're probably going to wind up refinancing it. If you're planning on being in the home for a while, you're going to refinance. So trying to keep those costs down as low as possible up front makes the most sense. So we try to find that sweet spot, and we'll go through options with customers. I think down the road, when folks that are planning to be in their house long term and the time comes to refinance, when we really think, okay, this may be the last mortgage I have again, that may be an opportunity to take advantage of that. Because when you pay to buy down the points, the advantage is a lower interest rate. So what it comes down to is sort of that math problem. How much am I saving on a monthly basis versus the cost to buy down the rate? We can help with that math, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I don't think it makes a lot of sense today to do it, is the short answer to that. But long term, it will make sense.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's so helpful.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of people that use maybe like an online lender or something, but what are some of the steps that individuals can take to ensure a smooth and successful closing on their home loan? And what is something that Ephrata National Bank, being a preferred lender, would assist with?
Sure.
Yeah. So typically what we would say with that, most important is just keep open lines of communication. We're here to answer any questions that you might have along the way. If you have a question, ask. Don't be afraid to ask. There is no stupid question. I hear so many times I pick up the phone and somebody's like, I have a really stupid question. No, it's not a stupid question. Like, if you have a question, get an answer for it. Don't, feel like I'm in this alone. You're not in it alone. We're here to help. So open lines of communication is a really big one. And, we're just here to help through the process, make everything as, easy as possible. The mortgage process, unfortunately, is not completely painless, but we want to make sure that we're helping our customers that they can get to the fun stage and, design their new home.
I think with one of the reasons EG enjoys working with us is from a relationship perspective, we are good at communicating through the process. Customers enjoy working with us, and we try to make that process as painless as possible. I think that's one of the advantages of working with a preferred lender through it as well. Even though we're a small community bank, we still have all the technology stuff that people would expect as well. So most of our customers will start an application online through our website, which we'll send a link to for that process. It's a secure portal for them to upload documents, and we communicate through that portal as well. So we like to think you get that sort of small bank personal feel with that. I think the way EG handles customers as well, and sort of that same experience, but still have that technology on the backside of it to make it modern feel from a process perspective, sort of what we expect today in this industry.
Wonderful. What are some of the do's and don'ts of wanting to obtain lender financing?
Yeah, do's and don'ts. That's always a good thing. So we actually have a sheet that we send out as a part of the application process that is a do's and don'ts. So the thing to think about with it is you're applying for credit with us. So when you're going to get a mortgage, you're applying for credit. So we want to protect that credit score. So don't go out and buy a car. Don't go out and use credit if you can all avoid it. We'll get that call sometimes. Hey, Mike, I was just in an accident and I need to buy a new car. There are things you're going to have to do as a part of life. We just want you to be conscious about it. Understand that there could be a negative effect as a part of the mortgage process with it as well. From the do's, make payments on time, protect your credit, do all the positive stuff that we expect.
Things to do regardless.
Yes. Yeah. So all the stuff that we expect with that as well. I think one of the things through the mortgage process as well, so we have the credit side, relatively straightforward. Keep your credit good. The better the credit, the better the rates, the better the process is for that. On the other side of it is usually the funds for closing. Where's your money coming from for that? Is that from a sale of a home as an example, which again will help guide through that process, how we may tap into that equity or what we may do, the timing of when your home may sell. But just in general, where's money coming from? One thing that's sort of bad in our world is cash. I know cash seems great for everyone, but we can't document cash, and we have to be able to, the way the mortgage laws are and the compliance regulations and stuff, we have to be able to document things. So if you have that $20,000 in your mattress, put it in the bank so it's seasoned, and then we can use it 60 days later. So we just want to be conscious of those sorts of things. Anything financial related, it goes back to what Amy was saying too. Don't be afraid to ask us. If you have a concern or a question on something, let us know. If you're getting gift funds from a parent or a relative, let us know. We'll walk you through that process. It's not scary in the big picture. We just need to help guide you through it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wonderful.
Do you guys have anything left to add, like anything that maybe you had on your topics to talk about that we maybe didn't ask a question about that you think would be helpful for our E.G. Stoltzfus Building One Story at a Time podcast listeners?
Yeah, great question. No, I think what we really like to stress is just, again, how I see EG do things with that relationship and helping that customer all the way through the process. That's really the approach that we take from the first conversation we have with a customer. We don't expect the customer to come into us saying, hey, I know I need this program. Instead, we want to be able to ask them a series of questions so that we can give them information so they can make an informed decision about what may be best for them with good information. The counseling part of what we get a lot right now is just where the market is. Should I wait until rates come down? Talked about that a little bit as well, but the general consensus is home prices aren't coming down at all. So those will continue to increase. Mortgage rates will come down at some point. We're in a cycle right now. We're at a high point. Things will be better. We'll help customers with that as well, but hopefully giving that peace of mind. So no, I don't have anything else. Amy, anything else to add? Anything I'm missing?
I don't think so. I think you covered it. Yeah.
Kind of makes me think of they don't have to be the expert on financing. You guys are the experts on financing. They're the experts on themselves, on what they feel comfortable with, what they feel comfortable doing. And then you are there to be their guide and their expert, their resource as well.
Absolutely. Very well said with that too. So yeah, we want to be a resource for the customer.
Wonderful. Well, if anyone is interested in connecting with Craig or Amy, we are going to drop a link in the show notes to their webpage where you can complete the approval process or submit documents to start the approval process anyways. So thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday, and we hope you join us next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.